guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Hello, and it is Global Game Jam Week.
It is Global Game Jam Week.
We are recording leading up to the Game Jam coming up this weekend. For those who may not know, for the past, 5 years, I think.
Yeah, 5, maybe 6, because 2018 we were definitely there. I think that was Ghost House that we did that one, maybe.
Or Boom. Boom was the first one. Anyway, Trevor and I, sometimes with others, sometimes by ourselves, or just with each other, participate each year in the Global Game Jam. And the theme was just revealed, and we don't know what it is yet.
No.
And we're very excited because we get to kind of plan out our possibilities and brainstorm a bit. So what we're going to do this episode as a special little thing, it's not going to come out until after the jam is complete, so there's no spoilers here. It's done and dusted.
It's done and dusted for Melbourne, at least.
For Melbourne, by the time you're listening to this. But we are going to we're going to watch the theme reveal video, and then we're sort of going to react to it here.
What we're going to do is we are going to pause the recording.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to watch the theme reveal video, and then we're going to reserve all our judgments, all our thoughts on the theme until you hear them live.
Yes, we'll cut back in here and discuss what we think of the theme. Now, the theme, sometimes it's good. In the past few years, we haven't been super happy with it. They tend to make it very broad, but then it sort of just makes it not an interesting constraint. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Did we want to kind of do a bit of a recap?
I remember last year was Roots, and I was not very happy with that one.
I think the year before was Waves.
Transmission, maybe.
Transmission. Oh, see, yeah, they had Waves and Transmission.
Because Waves was one that was done before.
That's right.
Because I think that was the year before we did it, and I can't remember what the one that we did for Boom was. There's a whole history to the themes.
Yeah, so here we go. Roots was last year. Duality before that.
Lost and Found.
Lost and Found. What did we even do for Lost and Found?
That was the VR game that we found a ship that had crashed in the woods, and we were
right. I'm forgetting. What did we do for Duality then?
Duality was the that was the toy game that we did.
Oh yes, okay, yes. Yeah, Repair, we did Core Repair when you were in a ship. What Home means to you, we did
a Ghost House.
Home, Ghost House.
Yep.
Transmission was Boom, I think.
Boom.
Because
we
were
downloading
pirated games.
Pirated games, yeah.
Mm. Before that was Waves, and these are the ones we haven't done. Ritual, and then I feel like the ones before that, they were a bit more interesting. What do we do now, as a question mark? We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. Yeah, that's a bit airy-fairy.
Sound of a Heartbeat.
Sound of a Heartbeat's cool.
That's really cool.
An image of Ouroboros.
I mean, that's very much a roguelike.
Oh yeah, there's
roguelites is pretty much continuous and all that sort of stuff.
Extinction, that was the last. No, Extinction. Before that was Deception, which is the first one I ever did when I was in Vancouver, and then the very first one in 2009. As long as we have each other, we will never run out of problems.
Yeah, so
I feel like it's a mixed bag. I feel like most of them are not good. Some of them too specific. Some of them too broad.
What's your prediction?
Too broad. All right, I'm going to give a prediction. Let's see. It's going to be joints.
Okay. I'll say relationships.
Okay. All right. Well, let's pause it now, and we're back, and we have the theme.
Okay.
Do you want to do the honors, Trevor?
Yeah. Okay. The theme this year is "Make Me Laugh." That's what I read. Make Trevor Scott
laugh. It was eerily laugh. Specific to us. No, make me laugh.
I like
my first impression is, okay, that's a good theme. I mean, we attempt to do comedy here anyway, so that's kind of in line.
It's in line with what we want to do, and we just putting stupid things in there just to make people laugh immediately fulfills the brief.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It can, as long as it's got some level of humor, that's all you have to do to fit the brief.
I mean, the stupider, the wilder the idea, the more in line with the theme it actually becomes. So
that is a good one. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, we were well off the mark with our relationships and
joints.
Especially because I started thinking.
Oh yeah, my mind went there as well. Once I was just trying to think of something. There are like the previous ones have all sort of been around like connection, like trying to just do something really broad, but something that gives you something you can work
Which is why I thought with duality and all those sort of things that I was going to just say, oh look, relationships, that kind of fits in with the
But no, make me laugh. So I think what we'll do is for the next 20, 25 minutes. As we usually do, we'll play some click pitch.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep that brief in mind, and we're going to keep scope in mind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For it being a game that we actually think we might be able to potentially make. Let's
go ramped up click pitch, because we haven't done that for a little bit. At least for one. We'll do one, and then we'll maybe go back to a normal click pitch and see which one seems to be more freeing.
So ramped up click pitch, for those who might just be joining us, is a game where we each have a random phrase generator in front of us. And on the count of 3, 2, 1 click, we're each going to get an adjective and a noun each.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to throw them together this week with make me laugh. and see what we can come up with.
Yeah. My words are cowardly papa.
Harmonic incision.
Harmonics. So it doesn't need to be musical. It can be, in harmony, basically.
Yeah. My mind went immediately to Operation. The board game Operation.
Yep.
If it can be called that. With incision, papa.
Cowardly.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could be an interesting mechanic of, especially like one thing we haven't mentioned is we kind of had it in mind to probably do a VR game.
Yep.
Which we've done a couple times in the past. But VR could work pretty well for an Operation style mechanic where you're having to pull something out without touching the sides.
I mean, it's got to be the funny bone, doesn't it? Like
it could be.
Like it's damaged beyond repair and he can't stop laughing, so it's got to be removed.
Or you're trying to replace it to make him laugh again.
Yes, because it's broken and he doesn't laugh.
Yes.
So you're literally trying to make the cowardly papa laugh, but he's also such a coward of not wanting to be in the hospital and that sort of stuff that you got to sort of sheepdog him into it.
So you're having to herd him in. Well, again, in the interest of keeping the scope small and what the main gameplay loop is there something there that we can do about like having a tool and pulling something out without touching the sides? That can be a loop. Whether or not it's, even if we just use that as a jumping off point, maybe it's not even body parts, like maybe we're just using that general mechanic.
Okay. And this is where it's kind of a bit weird, but I kind of like this idea as well.
Okay.
You're on the outside of the operating theatre and you've got a joystick and a button. And it's a skill tester.
Okay, so it's a claw with a scalpel.
And you push the button down and it's like, okay, now it's in. And now you pull it back and it's like, and hit the button again and draws it up.
Oh, man.
The whole thing is skill tester.
I do. That's kind of fun. An operating room that's done as a claw machine. And I mean, that feels doable. Do you think you'd bother doing VR then? Because you you can get around to the side and have a bit of a look at the
how far in.
In.
The 3D actually helps with that.
True. I mean, depending on how big the room is.
I mean, the other thing is you can just have like a little shadow underneath, or a laser guider.
Yeah, I think you'd have some. Well,
a laser pointed down.
Not to scope creep, but like upgrades. That's your upgrade, is your different lights and laser pointers and sharper blades.
Oh, look, it's now got a crosshair on. Like, exactly. Oh, look, the bloom is going out. You moved it too fast, it's moving. You got a timer that's counting down.
Yeah, the timer. I mean, that could be it. It's like remove 5 organs within the 2-minute timer or something. Dumps it in the hole at the end, comes out the little chute.
It slips out of the thing and falls on his body and just like gets dropped back into the body somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of like this idea. How do you think how are you picturing how you would view it? Does the body come in and it's like cut open and there's clear spots where all the organs are and you just have to line it up and get them? Or can you not see into the body and you just get some sort of other indication that you're close, like when you're close to it or something?
I'm now sort of thinking of it as like an Ender's Game sort of thing where you know what Ender's Game is.
I know what Ender's Game is, but I don't remember. I don't see where you're going with this.
So you're operating, but you don't know that you're operating. You're just doing a skill tester, and it turns out that that's the claw going down and picking up the.
I feel like that's maybe adding too much abstraction.
Too many layers.
Yeah.
You just thought you were playing a skill tester. Actually, what you've been doing is just ripping things out of the. It opens the curtain, and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, that's the image I had too. You're seeing it on a little crappy arcade-ish screen. Okay, I feel like there's something there, but I think we should, in interest of getting some good brainstorming out, I think we should click again.
Okay, let's go classic click pitch now. One word.
Okay, an average noun. Hurrying.
Disc.
Hurrying disc. Make me laugh. Okay.
I mean, I'm seeing, sort of ultimate frisbee throwing discs to each other.
Okay. They're CDs, they're comedy CDs. Comedy shows. It's like 12th Man. What is it? Is that what the fucking used to listen to in high school?
Wide World of Sports. And Wide World of Sports 2. And
those prank call ones. What was that? Who are those? The
Crank Yankers?
There's something boys.
I don't remember.
It's not Beastie Boys because they're something very different.
Yes.
But anyway, fling it like that my mind went to like CDs or DVDs or something, but I'm not sure where the game is there.
No.
What's funny about discs? Any other sort of disc? I mean, it could also just be like computer floppy disks as well if we want to go back to that.
Yeah, the second that I do that, I start thinking of CRC errors and I go, oh my God, it's just frustrating.
Not funny. Unless it's Comedy Review California. Those errors. I mean, so funnily enough, floppy disk makes me think of the very first game we did, Boom. Should we consider doing Boom 2?
Boom 2, okay.
In VR this time.
Where you actually play Boom?
No, it's still just trying to like... It's essentially the same idea.
It's essentially the same idea, except
maybe you're trying to do something else.
We actually use Cinti. We use Cinti stuff and we make it look better by using like a home office setup. And
I mean, we're much more skilled now than we were back then. Well, I mean, just for the sake of it, how could we make Boom 2 funnier for Make Me Laugh?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's the main thing. B, do we want to do it? But I think it's worth a discussion on because I feel like that's one of the games that we had a cool idea for, but we didn't really get to bring.
Yeah.
To
so
fruition.
Okay,
So it was our first one.
The idea for Boom was that we had a character who their parents were out and they had a babysitter a very negligent babysitter in the other room, and you had to sort of keep an eye on the lights from outside because you'd see some headlights come on down, and if they were falling into the if they were falling into the driveway, then that meant that your parents came home and you weren't allowed past your bedtime. Like you should already be in bed. You know that you're not supposed to be downloading this program. You're supposed to be doing your homework, and so the idea was that if you're not paying attention to your PC, like. You got to be able to reconnect the internet and all those sort of things.
Yes, I think we had pop-ups coming up maybe that you had to close. So yeah, the idea was you're basically downloading a pirated version of Boom, the amazing first-person shooter game, which I'm sure you can figure out what we parodied that from. But yeah, you would hear, I think, would you hear footsteps or you'd just see, because you kind of heard noises from the TV in the other room from the babysitter, but they'd come and check on you and you had to make sure you had to close it down I think you had to download each file.
Yeah.
Like start the download for each file, but you'd have to like cancel out of it and switch over if the babysitter came in.
Yeah, because it was one of those things that you weren't allowed on the internet and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
so yeah, but we had it set up with a nice little render texture and stuff,
and we had a UI that you could use
on the screen and stuff. So that was fun. So yeah, I guess what could a VR version of that look like, and how would we make it funny and improve upon it?
Now you've actually already got the discs there.
Right. Okay.
So now it's all about
like installing it or something.
Inserting the disc and putting it into the CD drive. And then, sometimes you've got to clean the disc off. And still you're getting caught by the same babysitter. I reckon we've got to go back and find the blocky babysitter. So not even use a Cindy asset for that.
No, come on. We can use assets. Well, I mean, I kind of like, and maybe this makes it too much like the first one, but you said CD. I think even floppy disks. I kind of love the idea of having some custom textured floppy disks there with handwriting on there of, Boom 2 disc 1 of 46 or whatever it is, as we know from back in the day when you had to have many discs, and maybe we can have some things in there with CRC errors, and maybe you've got like a second
PC
or like a second set of discs or something. You got to like find the right one. Like it's a matter of kind of organizing them and stuff, and not losing them because you have to do them in the right order.
Yeah. If you get the CRC error. Like, I just love the idea of you leave that computer running, you take another disk and you format it, and you try to put the other disk onto it. Like you just copy the new disk image and hopefully switch it out nice and fast.
I feel like that's getting too complicated with it, but yeah, I don't know. I think there could be something interesting we could do there with VR where it is around. It's around copying those discs and getting them in there in the right order. And maybe for Make Me Laugh, instead of we could still call it Boom 2, but maybe instead of Boom 2, it's like Escape from Ape Island or something. It's a comedy point and click adventure that you're installing, and that's funny because you want to laugh. I don't know. 3, 2, 1, click.
3, 2, 1, click. What do we go with? Do we go with back to ramped up or
sure, just to make it really difficult.
Fermented Jura.
Jura as in from a jury?
Yes.
Okay. I have Moody Bullfight.
Okay, Moody Bullfight and Fermented Jura.
So, I mean, that sounds like someone who's... Oh, you can take fermented as just drunk.
Drunk. Yeah. They've been drinking too many fermented drinks and too much kombucha, but it turns out that it's...
It's heavily alcoholic. And then a bullfight. A moody bull. I mean, that's funny. How can we mix like a courtroom scene and a bullfight?
Okay, so it's like the game Boom. Okay, you're a juror, and you're trying to listen in surreptitiously to your favorite radio show, which happens to be all about bullfighting. And you've just you can only have it up and be listening while the judge isn't looking at you.
Oh my God! Or no, we go really difficult. So what we're going to do, we're going to spend the whole weekend recording 2 audio tracks. One, and they're each like an hour long. One is this podcast about bullfighting.
Yep.
And one is the court testimony that's going on in front of you.
It's a piracy case.
Yeah. And you're going to have to answer questions about both at the end. So, for some reason. I don't know why you have to answer questions about the bullfight, but you have to listen to that for some reason. But you also have to be paying attention to the court testimony. And so there's not much, the main game is you can just turn the volume. It's VR, because then we can ensure they've got stereo.
So I think your hand has the has the speaker for it, so you only hear it when it's up to your ear.
When it's up to your ear.
But if you're there with the hand up to your ear, straight away, there's another juror who's already been kicked off because that happened at the very start. Yep. Bailiff kicked this juror out because, they're distracted listening to something else. Now, what happens is if you're not listening to this podcast, is your vision starts to go.
Oh, it's keeping you awake.
It's keeping you awake.
And the audio starts to fade of the testimony. Okay. And then I'm picturing, so we've got the droning audio of the testimony going on in the background. I don't think we'd bother trying to have it line up with what's going on. It'd just be a loop of animation, essentially. But there is key information in there that you're going to be questioned on at the end.
Yep.
But then we've got a little system going that the judge is looking at. If you do have it up for too long and the judge looks at you, we'll cut into the audio and say like, oh, hold it for a second. And then he'll pause and he'll wait. So if you haven't noticed that this has happened because you're paying too much attention to this.
Juror number 7.
Then
juror number 7.
Busted. Yeah.
And if he says juror number 7 3 times.
Yeah, you're out. Would that be too easy? Like, is that too obvious that that's going to happen? Or do we also dim the other audio a fair bit when you're listening to it? Like, do we dim the testimony audio almost down to nothing to make it really hard to notice that that's happening if you're not clearly looking?
Okay. I think there's other stimulus that can keep you awake.
Okay.
Caffeine.
Okay.
But if you drink too much, then you get the jitters and
the audio starts going all wiggly. You've got a period where you actually cannot understand. We just like put a effect on it that makes it completely robotic and unlistenable or something. You do like a whatever.
What else? What else?
You've got an EpiPen for real emergency.
Real adrenaline.
Stab it into your leg if you can't help falling asleep and the podcast's finished. Well, they take your phone. Maybe if you get caught the first time, they take your device, and then you've only got the other stimulus as a backup.
Well, then you got the backup stimulus, which is a boom box.
That's why it's boom. That's why it's boom too. All right, that one's fun. I don't know if that's. I feel like the core gameplay loop there is a bit too reliant on
us recording a fuckload of audio.
I mean, that'd be fun, but it would be hard to know how well it would work until that was.
And that we'd take that whole idea of the other podcast that you're listening to, and it would just be like, I don't know, 3 bits long episodes.
Oh, I mean, you and I would just improv a bullfighting podcast. Do that. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Let's just do classic.
Classic.
Okay. Carnival.
Return. A returning carnival.
I mean, carnival, I feel like, has a fairly good affinity with, like...
Yeah. But I really want to take it in a horror sort of way, though.
Okay.
And there's something about, like, there can be comedy in horror. Like...
You go to play the clown game where you put the balls in its mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Clown head's going back and forth. You put one ball in, put the second ball in. As you put the third ball in, the mouth it bites you.
Well, I was going to say that it starts choking. Like,
oh, okay. What I was going to say it bites you, you pass out, and you wake up in a dark room
as a clown.
And no, yeah,
and you see the red nose.
You see the nose, and you just hear someone,
"Come on, clown boy, make me laugh."
And they just start out of you're just in a big spotlight, and you just like random things start getting
seltzer
thrown
bottle
into the area. Yeah, like clown
custard pies.
You just have to
got to juggle.
You just have to like humiliate yourself in front of whoever this is.
Either that or yes, you are a clown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of based off one of those sort of things where yes, you're a clown, but you're also like night security, and you're sort of walking around. The only way to sort of stay sane is to have your character laugh.
Okay, so you've got a laugh button. We detect laughter through the microphone. You have to physically laugh.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha. Or what I just thought of is an interesting idea in VR. You're a mascot
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just looking out through the slit, so it's going to feel really claustrophobic.
Oh, and if you turn your head, you see the inside of
you see the inside of the thing. You have to use the controls to turn your whole body. Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
yeah, we model the inside of the mascot head basically, and then there's little kids that fucking come up to you and they're like, "Make me laugh." You have to, I don't know.
Bangers.
I don't know. I don't know that the core gameplay loop there is clear enough, but I just like that idea of the claustrophobic. If it gets too much, you can lift the head off.
Yeah,
grab it and lift it off. But of course, that'll
again,
scare kids.
having that whole vignette sort of close
the
in,
claustrophobia thing. Yeah, your heart rate goes up. You've got the heartbeat going in the background, speeding up as you get more.
What I love is all the audio is muffled because it's coming in through. It's like, okay, Jerry, the speaker inside the headset, no, inside the head, not working today, so you're really gonna have to focus. I
kind of like the idea that they can talk to you
hold
through
the microphone to their face, which is the microphone's in your right hand.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. To get outside audio,
so you can only hear it if the microphone is pointing in that direction. Otherwise, it's like.
Do some fun audio processing stuff to make that work. Yeah, I don't know. There's something there. I don't know if in the 48 hours we could make something.
No,
but I like the idea. All right, let's do at least one more.
Yep. Standard classic clip pitch.
Yeah,
clip pitch again. Oh no! Separate.
Separate.
You can't get the floss in between those teeth, so you got to use the separation tool.
Oh, I just had a horrible vision of a dentist being like, "No, laugh louder," and just grabbing you by the teeth and pulling your mouth further than it should go. Talk about horror. How that hurt.
I mean, we all know that within this podcast, dentists are
villains.
Yes.
Evil, essentially.
Yeah. Laughing gas is typically used, like nitrous oxide is typically used.
Maybe this is a spinning plates type game, sort of like a tapper sort of thing. You've got a bunch of patients.
You've got 3 patients on the go.
3 or 4 patients on the go. You have to spin between them on your little spinny dentist chair, keep them anesthetized enough and enough saliva out of their mouth with the little sucker thing, and you have certain teeth you need to pull.
Oh God.
If you give them too much laughing gas, they start cracking up and you can't get into their mouths
until
they might take
wings off, and then you gotta up the dial of the O2, and
you got to keep that balance right.
It's got a fault. There's a faulty stopper, so nitrous is always flowing when they've got these things on their face, and you've just got to up the dial depending on how much oxygen is going to one patient. It's going to change it for the other people.
Oh, you've got one tank and you have to split it between them.
It's full on a hookah.
Yeah. Oh right, yeah.
They're all
they're just all hooked up to it. It's kind of a fun idea. Definitely overscoped.
Oh yeah, 100%. The only way that you could get around it is if remember that ad where it used to talk about brushing your teeth, unless you've got a flip top head. Well, every single one of these people have flip top heads so that you can get at all the teeth.
Get at all the teeth. They're just the top and bottom. Yeah,
they're literally
the top and bottom jaws just can go completely on one single plane.
Yes.
Like rigging that up would be nice. Well, especially for us with not very much rigging skill. All right, should we call it there?
I think we'll call it there.
Okay. So
we had a laugh.
We had a laugh, and we shall see if one of these ideas, the one we go with for the game jam coming up this weekend for us, just gone for you, and we will probably do some sort of post-mortem bonus episode as we generally do.
Yes.
After the game jam. and you'll be able to play it if you're interested in such things. So thank you for joining us this week. If you'd like to find our previous episodes, well, we do this sort of thing, but not specifically Game Jam focused, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm and all of the previous episodes are there.
If you like the song at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure by the band Dust.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
I've got a flipped top head.